Shirli Sitbon, who's joining me here on set from our International Affairs desk. Shirli, what's the latest information then that we're getting about the situation in Mayotte, the scale really of the destruction?
Well, it's still uncertain because yesterday morning we heard of 14 people who have died. That was the death toll. And since then we saw the devastation. And we know that a third of the archipelago's homes were destroyed, completely flattened, others yet destroyed, damaged, seriously damaged. And what the local prefect was saying is that hundreds of people are likely dead, and that number that actually could reach 1,000 and even the thousands. But today, this morning, a government minister said the French government doesn't want to bring any figures because we don't really know. Many people are unaccounted for, but yes, the situation is terrible. Witnesses talk about apocalyptic scenes, this devastation, people completely lost. We lost everything, roads inaccessible, blocked with trees. Yes, a scene that is really terrible. We can see the map to understand the isolation of Mayotte because now that aid needs to be brought in, well, it needs to be brought in from La Réunion Island on the other side. So Mayotte is on one side of Madagascar, La Réunion on the other. That shows the isolation of Mayotte from other French territories and why also the rescue will take time and is complicated to organize.
Yeah, I mean, the island already known for lacking infrastructure as well, and France's highest poverty rate. And there are also lots of people living there clandestinely.
Yes, up to 100,000 people who don't have their documents, and who, even if they need help, they are not shouting out for help for authorities because they don't want authorities to know they're there in case they will have to be deported out of France. So yes, many people in need of help. So you've talked about the situation there. We can look at some facts: 320,000 people in Mayotte, and many, many more people, perhaps up until 100,000, that's the maximum figure, who are undocumented, and nobody knows that the authorities don't consider that they're there. They don't have any information. And the poverty rate, 75% of the people in Mayotte live below the national poverty line, and the unemployment rate, 37%. But that does not mean that more than 60% of the population works. No, about 30% of the people in the age of working have a job in Mayotte. So situation extremely complicated. And we can see this yet again with another graph which shows all of the French departments, these administrative departments. And you can see just a few of them with Paris. This is the average annual income. And you can see that overseas territories are much lower than the rest of the departments, the rest of the country. And Mayotte is at the bottom. The last one, by far, from even all of the other overseas territories, the situation extremely dire. And we can also see a graphic which also explains the difficulties of the people in Mayotte because, well, on the left you have the whole of France, where 92% of the people have French citizenship. In Mayotte, half of them don't. Many live hidden, so they have many, many difficulties. This shows all the struggles. And of course, for years, the people in Mayotte have been protesting for better infrastructure, for a situation that's improved. And actually, my colleague just showed me a report from May of this year where the parliament had this commission looking into what would happen if a natural catastrophe hit Mayotte and other overseas territories. And the report says it would be a catastrophe. It cannot be managed in the current situation if it's hit by a cyclone. And if it is hit, then it's going to be tragedy. So that's basically, everyone knew that if this happened, the result would be catastrophic.
Yeah, it cannot be managed, but I suppose now it has to be managed. What about aid then? They've got to get that aid in there, but the airport's been damaged, hasn't it? Aid slowly starting to arrive. I mean, what are the main challenges?
Yes, you talked about the airport and, again, the isolation. So everything comes from La Réunion Island and sometimes from mainland France to La Réunion and then to Mayotte, because the airport is small and damaged in Mayotte. We can see these images of the firefighters who arrived there yesterday. Figures that are quite low for now, because the figures that were given are just 162 firefighters and rescuers for such huge devastation. But of course, more is coming, more people, and 20 tons of aid are expected there. rescue efforts by the air, also by sea. There is a French ship there which functions in that area, which will bring more aid. But some people are trying to reassure the population. A lot of stores have been damaged, but big supermarkets, there's one chain who says, don't worry, we have supermarkets across the archipelago, and we have enough water, enough food. We just need to distribute this quietly. They're having an emergency meeting today and basically saying, don't panic, don't loot, because there's been some looting. But the situation, of course, is concerning for people who are isolated and want water. There's a real shortage in that.
Yeah, terrible situation there in Mayotte. Shirley, thanks so much. Shirli Sitbon from our International Affairs Desk here on France 24, summing up the latest for us.